Hello everyone, my name is Doug Graves and welcome back to another video. Around December of last year, I made a preview video for the 2018 SMITE World Championships, and it's that time of year again to make a video previewing the 2018 SMITE World Championships? Seriously, what am I supposed to call this? It's still 2018. Okay, screw it. I'm just calling it the Season 5 SMITE World Championships. So, yeah, I'm previewing that. However, the format this year is a little different than years past, as for the first time there's actually two parts of the tournament. The first part I'm previewing with this video, is the SMITE World Championship Placement Round, which will happen between November 5th and November 10th. This event will consist of the bottom 4 SMITE Pro League teams from North America and Europe, the top SMITE Minor League teams from NA and EU, and the top team in the SMITE Global Series, for the regions of Latin America, both North and South, Brazil, Oceania, and Southeast Asia. A grand total of 15 teams competing in this stage of the competition. From there, the top 4 teams from this double elimination tournament will compete in the SMITE World Championship Knockout Round, which will happen at DreamHack Atlanta from November 16th to the 18th, where they'll meet up with the top 2 teams in the SMITE Pro League from NA and EU, and I'll be previewing this after the placement round, probably some point before the World Championships, obviously. So without further ado, let's get this giant preview started with the international teams. The first region I'll be going over is Latin America. Starting off in Latin America, we have the champions of the LATAM North SMITE Global Series, Loto Gaming. This team is one that I have a lot of questions about. For one, Loto qualified for this spot over a team in YSO Serial that has basically dominated LATAM North since the start of Season 5. A good portion of this roster has played at a high level in LATAM in the past, as 3 of the 5 members of their normal roster competed in the LATAM Regional Championships last year as members of the HalfNut Esports squad that fell in the finals to Nocturnes Gaming. However, this roster will not be at full strength for Worlds this year, as their normal support, Huncho Jack, formerly known as Shia, will be unable to attend and is being replaced by the team's coach, Jay Mitzel. The other concern for this team is that they do still have to play Nocturnes Gaming to technically get a spot in the placement stage, and even then, if they win, they would have to play the North American team of Luminosity Gaming. A decently formidable challenge. Speaking of Nocturnes, the other team in Latin America is the LATAM South champions of Nocturnes Gaming. This team has represented not just LATAM South all year, but the entirety of Latin America. However, since the summer finals, this team has seen some changes. Nocturnes also did not look invincible this past split, so the question is if Loto can put up a fight, or if Nocturnes will do what they've always done, sweeping aside the team from LATAM North to play the real teams, such as the NA team of Luminosity Gaming, who awaits the winner of this LATAM matchup. Next up is the Brazilian team of Noping Esports. Noping's rise in Brazil was unexpected, but not necessarily surprising. The team has been a consistent number 2 since the start of Season 5, picking up where the former ETES Esports roster of Season 4 left off. However, in the fall is where they finally slayed the proverbial and literal dragon of Black Dragons. The team has represented Brazil internationally for the better part of 2 years. However, despite their seemingly recent success domestically, these players do have some decent international experience. Margoana has competed at Worlds of Days Past as Stalker for Pain Gaming in Worlds 2016, and both Gones and Oship are former Black Dragons junglers during that team's success both domestically and on an international stage. The other members of the team have also participated in domestic LANs in years past, but the real question for this team is if they can match the international success of Black Dragons. And their first matchup against SK Gaming is a very winnable matchup for Noping. Next up is the team from the land down under, Atletico. This team does have a history of representing the region as a whole, as the team who represented OCE in the Season 5 Summer Finals and looked pretty good in the process. However, this team will not be at full strength, as the team's mid laner during the split, Add-ons, retired from competitive play and is not attending this event due to health issues. Replacing him is Regan, a natural ADC who was playing on one of the bottom 2 SGS teams in Oceania this past split. However, all 5 members do have international LAN experience on either Atletico from the summer or Wigarn Servo from SMITE Masters 2018. The bigger concern is Oceania's history internationally, as the region still has not even won a game at an international tournament. Atletico also does not have the best first-round matchup against the North American team of CounterLogic Gaming. Will this event finally be the moment a continent has waited for, or will Oceania once again be a disappointment for their region? The final international team is the Southeast Asian team of Get On My Level. This is an interesting roster as it harkens back more to the Chinese rosters of old, compared to the All-SEA rosters of NCT Gaming and Mashu Boys of past international events. The team did represent the region in the summer finals, but the boys from the Far East are hoping for a better showing than they had in the summer. Of the 5 players, 3 have passed Worlds experience and 4 have passed LAN experience, with Hickey being the lone exception. SEA has always been seen as a weaker region, especially in comparison to Chinese teams of years past. Will this be the land where SEA builds its legacy, or will it always be overshadowed from a former number 3 region in the world? Next, I want to go over the European teams attending this tournament, starting with the minor league representative and then the 4 EU Pro League teams at this tournament. Starting off, we have the EU SMITE minor league team of Insignum. This team is no stranger to representing the EU SML, as they've done so for every split this season and were 1-1 in SML finals. However, the teams Insignum will be playing this LAN are much more challenging than the rosters of Anxiety Onset, and very nice to me that they played during those minor league finals. The roster has experience, but the question is just how far can they go? All year, some fans have been saying that if given the chance, they could possibly beat lower-level Pro League teams. This is their chance to prove Mixer Chat right. And it starts with a matchup against North America's 4th seed, Trifecta. Next up is the team often considered the joke of the EU SMITE Pro League, and the 6th and bottom seed from the SPL, SK Gaming. This roster is full of LAN experience, but they oftentimes have struggled to string together wins during all 3 EU Pro League splits this season. SK is eager to prove that their last place results all season have been less of a testament of their skill as a team, and more of a testament of the strength of Europe as a whole. Can this be the LAN they prove all of their doubters wrong? Their first matchup against NoPing won't be easy, and should be a matchup both sides will take seriously, and one that SK hopes they can win. Next up is Europe's 5th seed, and my personal dark horse pick, Mousesports. This roster's seen changes throughout the split, and while they finished near the bottom of the league in the spring, a miraculous summer split followed up by a slightly disappointing fall has left many with questions of this team's true potential. But if they are playing on all cylinders, this decently experienced team can get the job done and shock the world. Combined with a rather easy first-round matchup against the Southeast Asian team of Get On My Level, this team could be poised for a run in this tournament. Next up is Europe's 4th seed, and the only EU team to have attended every LAN this season, Team Rival. Last year's Worlds runners-up started the season strong by winning SMITE Masters 2018 and stayed strong with a 2nd place finish at the summer finals. However, a 4th place finish during the fall split is the last thing this team wanted, especially as they looked atrocious for the second half of the split. Rival is hoping their past experience of always being better on LAN stays true for them. In their eyes, anything less than moving on to the knockout round is a disappointment, not just to them, but to their fans as well. Can they live up to their lofty expectations? Finally, we have Europe's 3rd seed, the ever-inconsistent Obey Alliance. To put it bluntly, Obey's had an up-and-down season. In the spring, Obey was decent, but clearly a step below the top teams in the region. In the summer, Obey was at an all-time low, falling to the depths of 5th place as Mousesports had their miracle run. But in the fall, Obey Alliance bounced back in fantastic fashion, only missing out of the top 2 due to plus-minus. Historically, for the team's ADC, Ataraxia, odd-numbered seasons have been great for his teams, making the finals in both Season 1 with Titan and Season 3 with Obey. Combined with the fact that Zalia has been to the semis in every Worlds he's attended, Captain Twig is the only European to have attended every single SMITE World Championship, and iRaffer has 2 World Championships under his belt already, with Epsilon in Season 2 and Energy in Season 3, and this team is filled to the brim with experience. However, the team has one last major hurdle in front of them, and it's not just this placement stage. It's the fact that their starting mid laner, Pretty Prime, will not be attending this event. And he's doing so because his wife is expecting his first child, which, honestly, is a good reason to not attend an event. The team instead will be using SMITE minor league mid laner Flippo from Sacred Speedbuff and Stellar as his replacement. Can a team that spent almost all of the fall split trying to feed the Swede of Pretty Prime adjust without him well enough to challenge for the SMITE World Championships? Finally, I want to go over the North American teams participating in this tournament, starting once again with the SMITE minor league representative and working up to the 3rd seed in the NASPL. First up, we have the NASML champions of Armada Esports, the arguable masters of unconventional strategy. Armada surprised everybody with their performance in the NASML Fall Playoffs to get here. A team that was always near the top of the table, but never the team at the top. They got here by defeating the consensus number 1 seed of Very Nice to Me, and their former mid laner and his new team of Sanguine Esports. One problem for Armada is that most of their roster has close to no LAN experience in the slightest. The other problem for them is they have to play Team Rival as their first match of the event, which would be nothing short of a challenge. However, if they can manage to win, it could be just the shock necessary to potentially catapult Armada to a fantastic run in this event. Next up is North America's 6th seed, Luminosity Gaming. Not quite the powerhouse fan-favorite roster that LG came into Worlds with last year, this year's iteration of LG is to me the weakest NA team in the competition by far, excluding Armada. With the amount of roster instability this team has had, including a revolving door in the mid lane, which now sees a natural support playing mid, I feel that Luminosity will struggle at this event. Even their first matchup will be a challenge against the winner of the LATAM placement match between Nocturnes and Lodo. Fans of Weekend are hoping that he can help lead LG to victory, while just about everyone else hopes that LG will crash and burn, and that LATAM will beat Weekend once again. Next up is North America's 5th seed and one of the biggest esports organizations in the competition, Counterlogic Gaming. Going into Season 5, CLG was arguably seen as the top 3 team in the region. However, they've never met that expectation, with 2 4th-place finishes in the spring and summer, and even more disappointing 5th-place finish in the fall. The roster is also not proving to be entirely stable, as right near the end of the fall split, the team let go of longtime jungler Homie Efe in favor of Masked. Will the jungle change be enough to turn CLG's season around, or will this be the likely final nail in the coffin for this iteration of CLG's roster? Next up is the red, white, and blue of Trifecta, North America's 4th seed. In the spring, Trifecta was surprisingly good, riding an underrated roster to a top 3 finish, but it fell apart in the summer. Sure, the arrival of Paul and the subsequent creation of the SMITE Paul League was great. However, the new mid laner struggled in his first split in the Pro League, and the rest of the team seemed to struggle with him. Come the fall and the so-called retirement of Mask at the start of the season, Trifecta's season looked doomed. But the arrival of Sanford Soccer and the resurgence of every single member of Trifecta sees this roster entering the placement round hot, and looking to show the world why they play in the SMITE Paul League. Last but certainly not least, we have the 3rd seed from North America, and the fan favorites of the league, Space Station Gaming. Picking up right where last year's Luminosity Gaming roster left off, SSG has been a consistent top 2 threat for the spring and summer of Season 5, finishing 1st in the spring and 2nd in the summer. However, despite qualifying for both SMITE Masters and the Summer Finals, both saw SSG walk away with 4th place finishes, the lowest finishing for an NA or EU team at those events. The roster trade of Basket and Venenu has also seemed to benefit E United more than SSG, as the 2 teams went from being dead-even competitors to Space Station now being considered the inferior team. A 3rd place finish in the fall split is also concerning, as it's shown that the rest of NA has caught up to SSG, and Splice has even overthrown Space Station for the 2nd seed. To all Space Station Gaming fans, qualifying for DreamHack Atlanta is a must. The question is, can this team do it? Can the former world champions of Andenster, Venenu, Barracuda, and Jeff Hinla get their 2nd world championship? Well, that's about going to do it for this preview. For those of you who are wondering why I did not talk about the top 2 seeds from North America and Europe, I'll be going over those 4 teams during my knockout round preview, along with the 4 teams that advanced from the placement stage. So fans of Team Dignitas, Energy Esports, E United, and Splice, you'll have to wait until then for them to be covered in this series of videos. If you can, I would highly appreciate sharing the video, as for one, I'm trying to be more consistent with uploads related to SMITE Esports content and maybe some gameplay, but I would not recommend looking back at the past of this channel unless you want to cringe. And also, I feel it would just be a good idea for sharing just some SMITE content out on the internet. It's a rather smaller esport, and I just want to give it the attention I feel it deserves. Leave a comment if you feel there's anything I missed, or if you just want to comment on something. Be my guest. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.